Okay. Okay. So thanks everyone for joining the breakout room. We're here to have a look at the eConsult referral on Accuro. So I've been using Accuro for, I'm not sure how long, but long enough. And we were kind of early on in the eConsult pilot where it was integrated into Accuro. So we've had more experience with it within Accuro. So that's kind of what we'll start with, and then we'll kind of move on to eReferral and the eFax eReferral options as well, just to see how that looks. So let's, so I'll just share my screen and pull up everything. So everyone can see my screen okay? Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So again, so eConsult is that way to send a message to a specialist asynchronously without having the patient see the doc. It's pretty easy to use within Accuro. It's quite similar to your own referral, like the old referral process, not eReferral, but how you can send things okay. So I've got some background noise here. Let me just switch over to my headset here. Give me a second. Can you hear me okay now? Yep. Okay, perfect. So so yeah, so basically you're with your patient, you decide you want to send a referral to the specialist or eConsult to ask a question. You don't need to see the patient, but maybe you need to know, what test to order next, what medication to try. Do they have any other suggestions? Is this something to be worried about after you get an X-ray or ultrasound result back, what have you? So so basically you can do it a number of different ways, but the way I have it set up as a quick action button at the bottom of my screen. So you can have like a button at the bottom that's just sets you right to the eConsult page. Otherwise, you can search for it under your target button and find it there, but we'll go with the easy route for that. So I'll just do that. So you get pulled up to the eConsult page, which just looks like this, similar to a Medio messaging page if you use that as well. Now, the first time you do that in the day, you would have to be taken to your login page, which is your OneID. So you have to have a OneID to access eConsult, same one you'd use to access eConsult on a separate website. It's just the one question, the one password, so there's another password to remember. But again, it's just on the once for the day, I think, and then it may log you out if you've not used it for a period of time. But I did this about an hour ago and I'm still logged in, I guess. But it doesn't take very long to do that. So basically, you just search for the patient chart that you're in, typically, and then the recipient wise, you can pick a specific doctor if you know them that uses eConsult, or you could just say, I don't really care who I see, I just want to get a neurologist opinion. And then you'll get, a bunch of econ specialists, neurologists, or you can just pick the group and they can pick whoever gets it first, I guess. So I'll just pick something, just a provincial group, just to you say the subject, and then you just type your message. So, please, yeah, whatever. What can I try next? So then you have the option of adding information, right? Which is the nice thing about having it into your system. You can just hover on the on that, you click it, and you have the choice from the chart or from the computer. Now, when it's embedded in your EMR, really it's all from the chart. I can just pick from the chart, and it's the same as if it was a referral. You just click what you want to attach to it. I'm just picking random things, but as you know, these aren't really relevant to what we're talking about here, but I'm just kind of clicking random things. So you can attach those, hit OK. And it takes a second, then you can see them at the bottom here of what's been attached to the, and then you just send it. And then you'll get, you'll get that response in a few days or a day or two. You'll usually get an email kind of saying you've got a eConsult response, or you can check in here periodically to refresh it to see if there's any responses for eConsults that you've sent. Really, it's one of these things that I think it's underutilized a lot, and I'm guilty of that as well. I think it's been, every time I use it, I think, why don't I use this more often? Because it is quite a useful thing in a lot of different scenarios. You don't really think about. I didn't really think about it initially anyway. I mean, certainly if I have a patient and I think I just don't know what to do next in terms of what test to order next, Should this, be seen by somebody, or is it just a benign finding on an ultrasound or CT scan or what have you? Sometimes it's just for reassurance. I mean, I think we all have those patients that that just won't take your word for it for this is nothing to worry about, or that you know what the next step is, but they want to see the specialist. So instead of having the option of like, I'm going to have to just, this patient is not going to trust my opinion, they want to see the specialist, you can ask the specialist on a quick eConsult and get them to either confirm your plan or confirm that your analysis that it's nothing to worry about. At least you can say that, okay, well, we talked to the specialist, they said it's fine, we can carry on with what we thought we're going to do. So I think there's a lot of value for that. Even for like, and then also just analysis, I think some of the more complicated lab results, I mean, the ones that I tend to use it for too, is like hematology. I don't know sometimes how to truly, is this relevant, or what's the next test? Should I be worried about this kind of result? You can ask that question where they don't really need to see the patient. They can just look at the numbers and the lab results and tell us a pretty good answer of what to do next. Same with rheumatology, just to see if there's something they would want to have done further. So it really is an underutilized resource, I think. And I know that my feedback is that eConsult they have the capacity to take on more stuff, and I think it's a great tool to use. And also just to remind us too that we can always bill this K738 code, so we actually get paid $16.30, I think is what it is the last time I looked, to do an eConsult, right? So which is kind of amazing that we actually get paid to do some of this referral paperwork kind of stuff that we get frustrated by often enough. So that's really all I really needed to show you on that. I don't think there's not much more complicated things with that. I'm going to just close it out. So, and when you get a response back from the specialist, I guess I should say too, is that you can also have a conversation. It doesn't have to be just one question, one answer. You can reply back, add another second question to that, and have a bit of a conversation back and forth before you close that conversation. So it is quite helpful in that sense. Just gonna. So does anybody have, before we move on to eReferral, I think there's been a fair amount of use. I've seen eConsult before, but anybody have any questions about that that haven't seen it before we move on? Or Fabian, you have anything else to add from your end of things?
Yeah, just and you probably know, Dr. Nair, you have version 2 of Accuro currently, but perhaps some of our physicians here tonight may not have the V2 integration, or how long that will take to Accuro to bring that forward. So in the interim moment, Ocean has been brought forward to do another one-way sort of integration, and that's separate. It's within the EMR through Ocean, but it won't be the version 2 that you have currently, as this is kind of on pause at the moment for those Accuro users. So there is the option for Ocean that I can also demo to see what that would look like if someone's interested to get going until Accuro steps up with their V2.
Thanks, Fabian. Julie, you had a question?
Sure. I just wanted to mention that something that stymied me at first is when you're actually looking for the response from a specialist, you have to make sure that you clear the filter. And I don't know if you should show that, because I was kind of lost for a little while when I was using eConsult, clearing the filter and also syncing the messages.
Yeah. So
the filter will go to the last patient, and it might not be the patient
right.
who's
So if you want to see
reading.
all of the patients that have had it, you can just apply that. So reset it, and so that blanks it out, so it doesn't have just that one patient that you're searching for. And then if you needed to sync it, you'd go to sync now, and then you would sync your eConsult conversations, and it would pull in the rest of things that are new. Yeah, it's a good point. I find it is a challenge sometimes too, when if you do send a few of them, or it's been a bit of a couple of busy days, and you get an email saying you have an eConsult, you're thinking like, who did I send that on? I don't remember who it was exactly. So it's nice to have that just to blanket out like that. So Fabian, I mean, I'm just not sure if people that are on, are they using eConsult right now, or have not used it at all before? You can just even add that in the chat if you just want to let us know if you're using it or not.
Now, does this chat go to just our breakout room?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Yes, it only
does? Okay.
We can see this people in this breakout room can see this chat.
I was just gonna write, but I don't have to write it now. But I use it all the time. Yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, certainly, I would, I mean, I don't want to, when it's integrated into the Accuro, it's definitely much more effective and easier to use than the other option. I guess I'm not really familiar, honestly, Fabian, with the other way, so I don't know if it's worth kind of taking a look at it briefly, or maybe I'll kind of leave that if somebody wants to see that other version.
Yeah, sure. I have my instance up and running, so I can
Okay.
just quickly
Well,
run
let's
through
wait
it.
and see if anybody has that desire.
There
to
is a
see
note
that.
in the chat that they would like to
Yeah,
see
I see
these
that
demos.
there. Yeah, I haven't found a lot of back and forth. I mean, I guess it depends on what your question is when you in your initial part. So I think it depends on what question you're asking. So I usually only have like one. I get one back and maybe a couple back and forth after that on occasion, but usually it's just the one question to get the response back, and then I just say thanks and close it. As far as medical legal issues, I mean, I don't think it's any. I mean, there is documentation of what they've recommended, and there's documentation because it's in your, it's saved in your chat, or in your notes in Accuro. So, I mean, if as long as you're seeing it, it's I think you're following their instructions. I think that's fine. And certainly, I have had a couple of referrals where they said, I don't feel. I think this person needs to be seen by somebody. You can't do this over the eConsult. So that's going to happen as well. So. I think it's not that different than doing a phone call. If you called somebody up and asked them their questions, I mean, we're all, I think, just trying to work with the information we have. So in terms of the other question, the response from the specialist will be in this window again. If you're once you get told that you have an eConsult reply back, you can look in here and it will just show up as a message in here. And then after that, it will be just in your virtual chart. You can see it there as the referral and the response. So again, it's super useful. I think it really does provide reassurance to patients. It provides me with the way to get some information, education on things without feeling like I'm bothering a specialist by calling them up or paging them. It's just I don't need an answer this second. I just want to get an answer in a day or two, and whenever they have some time. So I think it's been really helpful. Okay, well, I mean, let's move on to eReferral, and then if we want to come back to see the Ocean version of eConsult, then we can do that if that's of interest to anybody here. Let's close that. So eReferral is another option. I'm going to close my window so I can. So with eReferral, it's a bit of a different workflow than maybe our usual kind of way of doing a letter and then referral and attachment. This eReferral is you have to open up the Ocean map, which kind of gives us a sense of, it shows you where the patient is and where the specialists that you're looking for are. So I'm going to just do a straightforward one first, and then we can kind of go with ones that have attachments into it. So once you get set up, you have the eReferral button down here. So it just opens that up. So it shows a little house where the patient lives. I thought this is a test patient who has my clinic address as the patient address. So it's showing the same address as my clinic, but that's going to be your patient address. So you can get a sense of what's nearby to them. I have my little list of favorites here, but you can also just search by any kind of specialty you want. So so if you were looking for like a specific specialist, you could look up, let's say, I did neurology, so to see what's in neurology around here. So this is going to just show us all the neurologists that are around. So, so these are a couple of options here. If there's a green arrow, that means we're on eReferral. If there's an eFax in the brackets, it's an eReferral by eFax. So, and it just shows them where they're located. So then you can just pick someone closer to them if you wish. As we get more information, if you hover over those, they may have some information about wait times to see that person or not. I'll just pick one here. I'm just not who I'm going to send it to, but this is kind of what the actual listing would look like. Again, it shows where their address is, and then trying to get some more details on the types of problems they see. And if you can hover over those, they may offer like some wait times on that. So it's just one that says unspecified. It just means there may not be enough data yet to show how long the wait times are. So if you felt this was who you wanted to send it to, you could just click eReferral, send eReferral, and it would take you to that page. I'll come back to that one in a bit, but I wanted to kind of just maybe show something else initially. Just So I mean, I think, when we're talking about eReferral, it can be a bit daunting to kind of use it for a lot of things. So I think, just picking certain areas that are easy to use might be a good place to start. And I think the easiest ones that I found have been like diagnostic imaging in the community, like London X-ray and MyHealth. And then the London Scoping Center is pretty straightforward. And like I use cardio study, but any kind of cardiology kind of, for echoes and Holters and stuff like that. And then the sleep clinic I found helpful because it's just a pretty straightforward referral, just that I know I can do fairly quickly. So that's the ones I've kind of started with just to get comfortable with it. So we'll just do an X-ray one just to kind of show what that looks like. So this is on eReferral. This is like not the eFax option, but just if you're doing a referral. So again, it just shows what they have available, and then if you actually look under like ultrasound or something, it would tell us more specifically their wait times and such. But so if I want to send an eReferral to this, you basically just follow the prompts. It pulls in the height and weight from your EMR, pulls in the allergies. You can pick language issue. This again was designed by London X-ray to have what they wanted to have in place. They have some guidance if you want, to know what kind of X-rays you want to order X-rays for knee pain or back pain, which can be helpful just to kind of be more point of care help. And then you can kind of pick what you want to send, just like the click boxes anywhere else. So X-ray, why you want to have that exam. So I don't know, ball on wrist. Then you pick where you want it to do. We'll say your left wrist. Patient's not pregnant. And then there's some other blanks going to add more information. And then you just send the eReferral and then it goes. So the value to this is that, I mean, if it's an X-ray, which is just a walk-in kind of basis, you could just tell the patient that you sent it to that clinic, and it will just go to the central place. But you can tell them which clinic they wanted to go to, and then just say that their doctor sent their information electronically, and then they can just go in and get it done. So there's no paper changing hands, and it's just done. If it's something that requires an appointment, like an ultrasound, so you would just say it was an ultrasound that we're doing instead. You can click urgent, semi-urgent, routine. Urgent, they still want you to call the number to kind of book it ahead of time, so it doesn't get it done any faster. So you just have the urgent plus call. But let's say it's a routine ultrasound, pelvic pain. Click on the box for that, the female pelvic ultrasound. So that one requires an appointment, right? They don't just do them automatically. So when you send the referral, it'll give you a prompt. Actually, even when you do the X-ray one, it'll still send you a prompt whether it's okay to send information to the patient by email. So as long as you talk to the patient and have permission to send information by email, you can click that's okay to do, and then you can leave it with them. Basically, the clinic will contact the patient via email if you said that's okay, or via phone if you didn't, and they'll make that appointment, and it'll all be entered into Ocean so that you can see when the appointment was, and the patient is kept in the loop. The referral has been made, their appointment has been accepted, that their appointment date is XYZ, that they have to do whatever to prep for it. That'll all be sent by email to the patient. So it does save a lot of work on that side of things. And my staff really likes the ease of that versus faxing that ultrasound record and then trying to wait for the appointment, what have you. But obviously the patient can book their own ultrasound appointment, but then we don't know what's happening with that or when it gets done. So that's kind of a referral of that type. We can look at another option, maybe. I'm trying to think another one that we're going to do was. So another one I'm going to send it here. So any kind of referral you do to a clinic that has any referral option will have a list of questions that have been designed by the specialist clinic that give the information they want. So there's some variability there, right? Some forms are better than others. Some have, are picky with lots of checkboxes. Others are more just general. So it really does depend on the clinic that you're using. So that's why kind of getting your favorites is kind of worthwhile. Now, if you're doing an attachment, is where it gets a little bit different for your workflow. It does require a bit of prep before you open the Ocean eReferral. So basically, you have to create your package of attachments before you open Ocean. So if you know that I need to send a previous last year's or the scope from 5 years ago from a different clinic, or some blood work or what have you, you do that ahead of time. So if you do the Ocean eReferral, so there's like I just have a eReferral template. So basically, it's really just a basic form. You can have the CPP summary attached to it or not. It's up to you and what you want to have on there. I think it's kind of just tried to save a step with that. I'm not sure it helps though with that. And then you generate a letter. This is where people sometimes feel it's a bit of an extra clicks, but again, it's not that much at the end of the day. And the benefit on the other end of the admin side, I think, is there. You don't have to select anything for the recipient. You attach your notes as you wish. Normally you would. You say okay. You have to click save the chart as a PDF and then just send. And you can get rid of this prompt at some point, but anyway, it's still there now, so it's fine. You don't want a recipient. So this was a bit of a hiccup right now. I have to unclick that, but anyway, that's been the new problem that came up in Accuro just in the last couple of weeks, but they're working on it. And then just send it. So it's not really going anywhere. It's just going into your into the patient's virtual chart. Shouldn't have clicked as many attachment items, but anyway. So now I can open the Ocean portal. And I'll just pick the scoping center for something to do. So again, it's a site weight, no interpreter, OHIP, not pregnant, colonoscopy, non-urgent, screening, previous, sure, HOs, and then, so you can kind of just check the boxes you want to. I won't spend much time on this stuff. And then it has the medications and allergies already pulled in on this form. And this is the attachment that we just added there. So that just shows that we have all this stuff that's here. So that's kind of how you would send an attachment along, and then you just send it as you did before. So send referral. So when you're doing those attachments, kind of just is that kind of difference before where you write the letter first and then attach afterwards? You do that ahead of time and then put Ocean. So, are there any questions on this kind of stuff? Please feel free to ask anyway, anytime through here. Now, if we're doing a different type of referral, like an eFax kind of referral, it's still the same process, and that's behind kind of the whole point. We wanted to kind of be the same no matter what you were doing, whether they were on eFax or not. You would still be able to find them. So let's pull up another. So this time we're going to say it's the person we happen to want to send to. Let's do Dr. Campbell here. So urology. So it says eFax in brackets. So that's an eFax. eReferral by eFax is the option. Still has a green arrow though. These doctors are in our area, but not available for eFax or eReferral. So we click on that. It just talks about how this is a eFax site. And then we send their eReferral by eFax is the only difference on this side. So some of us primary care people kind of created a template for a general eReferral form, so that specialists that were maybe coming on to Ocean first would have a place to start, and those that were using eReferral by eFax this would be what we'd see. So we thought we'd try to keep it fairly simple, but also kind of give the information we thought would be useful in a good referral based on what is set aside by college guidelines and that sort of thing. So again, just language, best method of contact. Again, there's some boxes that are mandatory, most are not in this form. You talk about urgent or routine. So this kind of goes towards when you're getting feedback on your referrals. Like if you haven't heard back within 30 days on the routine ones, you'll get flagged to say that you haven't heard back from this referral, follow up. If it's urgent and you haven't heard back in 7 days, you'll get a call back. You'll get a note to say to follow up. So that's where that kind of comes into play. So the ones here at the stars are the ones that are mandatory. So there's the name of the diagnosis or the reason why you're making the referral, and then the brief history. You can check one of these boxes if you wish. So let's just say it's, I don't know, renal colic. Blank vein, just kind of something from there. So in Accuro, it does pull in, this is the test patient, there's a lot of messy medications in here. Current medications, current problem list. It doesn't pull in the past medical history for whatever reason. So you could type that in if you felt that was relevant. And no allergies. So this does get the past medical history, like the surgical medical history there, which is not ideal, but that's a little blip. It still has the package that we've made before because that's the most recent one you've made. So so that's pulled in. So as I know that mine has that CPP in the referral package, I can sometimes choose just to kind of say it's going to be attached separately and not attach that stuff at all. Or if you think that's fine, or it's a relatively healthy person with not much going on, or you just need to type in they had their gallbladder out in the past, you can add that in as a manual thing. And then you just send it by eFax. So that just goes off. And then on the receiving end, they get it just like a fax. It just is, this is a fax by Ocean, and that's all. They kind of, their process is the same. The downside is that we don't get the appointment date into this system unless we manually enter that, which I'll show you in a moment. But it does kind of at least keep us going. By being confident, you can open up Ocean and be pretty confident you can find a specialty that you want on here. I mean, in some ways, I've been trying to make kind of a game to try to see how many e-referrals I can use. If I'm making an e-referral, or I know I have to make a referral. Like, you know, I'm doing the best I can to try to use Ocean and the e-referral process, and trying to, you know, find different specialists than I have done in the past, and just trying to make it work this way. So it's been kind of just a bit of a game to try to get to 80% or so with the referrals. I'm probably close to 50 or 60% at this point. But again, but I'm trying to make sure I'm doing all my X-rays, ultrasounds, scoping centers, and the sleep studies and echoes and such on there, because those are pretty straightforward. They're just kind of asking for not a true like consult, but more diagnostic test kind of thing. So that's the e-referral by eFax. Any other questions in terms of things as we're going on here? I'm going to show you a few more things. Question there from what's the difference between Ocean eFax and e-referral and the functionality of the process? Okay. Yeah. So I mean, if you do an e-referral via eFax on Ocean, what's the benefit of that? Well, I mean, I think it's somewhat just it's easier on the admin side in a lot of ways. I think it's for us, it's a lot of things. Is just to be able to use Ocean more and put the pressure on specialists to get onto Ocean is one of the big things that we're trying to do. So I think that's part of it. But once we've sent that off, what we tend to do is I'll go to this part next, is looking at our dashboard. So sorry, I saw the question about the cost. There's no cost to primary care to go on Ocean e-referral. So that's a pretty easy answer for that one. So when you send referrals out, it all gets recorded in this dashboard. So it kind of is one place that everything is automatically kept, and you don't have to kind of hunt things down and do it as manually as before. So we're not an e-referral receiving site, so we don't accept referrals. So that's why those are all 0. But these are the sent ones here. So you can see that of all the ones that are sent, there's some that are awaiting response, some are accepted as walk-ins. That's kind of from our X-ray department side of things. I'll kind of that'll get done automatically, right? When the X-ray department does the X-ray, they'll just check that off that it's done. And some are still waiting for appointments. Some is unconfirmed, so that patients are being emailed, but they haven't confirmed that email. So they're all being contacted via phone or email. So we can just double check to make sure they've gotten the appointment. Books confirming the appointment's been booked, and the patient's confirmed that they got that booking. And then completed, also completed. Declined is that the physician has declined it for whatever reason. Canceled is canceled. So So what we tend to do in our office, like the workflow is basically, there's also another one that comes up here that's called needs review. So this is where those ones will come up where, you said it was an urgent referral, we haven't heard anything back in 7 days. Or there are ones that are not urgent in 30 days. So again, if it's done through here, you can look through here to find what's happening with it. It doesn't mean all the information is going to be here, mind you, but it will flag you that something needs to be followed up on. So if it was faxed in your routine way, you have to have your other way of kind of tracking, was that referral, did they receive the fax? Did they get the appointment? Did they try to get the whole patient? Like what happened? Did the office closed? Who knows, right? Oh, and you have to have some way to kind of track that you tried to send that referral, and how do you find out whether it happened or not? With this one, you know that it's been sent, but it's been 30 days and you haven't heard back. So then you could, if it was an eReferral by eFax, you'll have to go into the chart to see, well, did I just not enter it into Ocean? And did we get a response back, but it just didn't enter it in, or did it not get received and did not hear anything back? So it's just the one place where you can really see it very clearly where things are what the state of things are. And again, we have all these different categories which are very clearly laid out, so you know exactly where people are in the process. So again, my staff has found this, they're kind of trying to get more docs to use it because they like it better, because they feel more on top of what's happening with everything. The other ones you look at, I mean, some of them are going to be declined, and you may have to kind of, I may get a note from the staff that we got a message from this doctor's office saying that they can't see this problem, and so then I have to make a referral to somebody else or what have you. So that still happens, but then they just send me a note within Accuro to say that that's happened. So basically, my staff kind of log in quickly once a day just to kind of check the needs review box and just check those things, and then they kind of send messages as need be. But yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, I think our office's referral process and tracking, I never feel super confident. I think it's always been something that I always kind of at the back of my mind, I feel like, I think it's not perfect, and I just get a bit stressed by that. The ones that I do through Ocean, I feel much more confident they're kind of being followed up on a regular basis in a regular, standard way. So I think that to me is the advantage of sending even eReferral via eFax. It may not be perfect, but it's still a step in the right direction for this end of things. So that's my take on it. And then just in terms of similar kind of stuff, being knowing where things are at, if you're in with the patient, they want to know what's happening with their referral, you can kind of quickly open up the patient's eReferral dashboard, and it'll just show what referrals are open right now. You can click on that. You can see some messaging back and forth. If there was a message saying, we need to get an X-ray done first before we see this patient, or we need to, I don't see this problem, or the appointment's going to be, 6-month wait. We're just waiting for that, or it's been booked, but they tried to contact you. Like you can just see where things are at with one thing without having to say, let me send a note to my staff to call the office, and hopefully they get through, and hopefully they'll get back to us in a week or so. You can kind of check it really quickly right in front of the patient right then and there. So those are the main things I wanted to show. Trying to think if we could show anything else. Do you want to see anything else, or any other questions? I can show a couple of. I can try to do a real one here and then just sort of cancel it, I guess is another thing that Dan was talking about. So we can maybe do that. And in the chat there. Okay, Fabian, do you mind showing your demo for the Ocean eConsult?
Absolutely.
I think I have to stop sharing, right?
Yeah, and I'll just share my portion.
Yep.
So I'm just sharing my screen. I'm just going to create a blank note here. Just gonna, let's just say Mary has a rash, and just gonna hit generate letter. And if there's any attachments, let's just say it's for derm, and you have an image you want to bring in, so I'm just going to attach something here, but you can attach anything you would like to it. We're going to hit send the letter, and just going to click on yes, send letter. I'll just move through this briefly, how it would look. And at this point, at that button at the bottom left, send eReferral, we can modify that to say send eReferral and send eConsult. It will be the same button to send an eReferral. So to use to send an eConsult. So we're just going to click on that at the moment. It's going to load up our Ocean instance. And from here, you can type in eConsult and you just find it. You can save it to your favorites as well. And the green arrow, we're just going to click on that. We scroll down to the bottom. We're going to hit Send Ontario eConsult. And it's populated for the patient information up top. It's going to ask you if you already have an OTN account, and many of our physicians do. You can preview the attachment of that you're sending as well, and you'll see your information at the bottom as the sending physician. And so we're just going to hit Send and Launch, and this is where it's going to launch to have you sign in with your OTN credentials or your OneID. And so we'll just ignore this. This is just a default that comes up. And here's just verifying if we're okay with what we're sending. We're just going to hit correct. It's going to be 3 seconds, prompt me to log in. And in this instance, I'm just going to use our testing, use OTN credentials. Many of you will use your OneID. I'll use OTN credentials to log in. And once I sign in, it will bring me to the OTN hub. And at this point in time, all you would need to do, it comes up as a draft case. And once you select your specialty, let's just go with base managed. We'll just click on, let's see, cardiology, and we'll just go general. And all the information, this is our testing environment, but all the information for the patient will be populated, OHIP number, including the attachments as well. So at this point, all you would need to do is hit send. And so once you hit send, that takes care of the eConsult sent to that specialist. It will just show a green bar that it's sent. If it's completed, once the specialist responds back to you, you will get a notification from OTN to your email address prompting you that something needs your attention. And so at that point in time, this is when you go outside of your EMR, because right now it's only a one-way integration. We heard next fiscal, it should be a two-way full integration, but currently with the integration with Ocean, it's only one way. So once that specialist responds back to you, you're just going to go to your needs attention box. It kind of works like an inbox. And so we'll just go to needs attention. He responds back to you. You're satisfied with the response that he provides. And you're just going to hit complete. In your completed portion, you're just going to have this option now to export this to a PDF. So you've logged in, you're going to export this to a PDF. What happens at that time, this is where it takes you outside of your EMR. It will go to your downloads folder, that consultation report that OTN provides for you. And so at this point in time, to upload that back into your patient's chart, you're just going to, I'm just going to go back to documents here. And once you go to documents, the folder at the bottom, last refresh, you're just going to click on that. And you're just going to go to your desktop. And so I'll just find where my documents are saved. And if I have something here. If you have yours set up, it won't, this is just me trying to find my local drive to my downloads. Let's just say we're going to find a report from our specialists. Just going to click on this. And once it's the green bar runs here, it uploads into the chart. And from here, we can name it eConsult on the right-hand side. And then you're just going to hit File Document. And once you click on File Document, this is bringing the response back into the patient chart. And so it's in. And if you go to your virtual chart, you you will see that this is the information that was brought in today from the eConsult. And so that's just the one-way integration currently right now until it becomes a two-way that's provided through Ocean, and how you can also bring that back into the patient chart once the specialist gives the response. So that's just what it is at the moment currently. And this is just new as of August 15th. This was released for the EMRs, the major EMRs, without full integration, as Dr. Nair has a full integration, but those without the full integration, this is just a new feature that was released in August 15th.
So Payment, like, just can you explain to me like what the what's happening with that? Because again, I'm not in the ins with Accuro or with eHealth and what's going on. Like, so us, this pilot has worked for me, and it's working all. You know, it's been on quite a while. It's been a pilot for I've been on for a couple of years, well, more than that even, right? So
Yeah.
And it seems to work. So I guess what's the problem on the Accuro side, or
Yeah,
otherwise?
so there has been this delay, and for those who, like yourself, perhaps earlier users, got the V2, and so Accuro started pushing out like this V1. So I don't have the full answer. That's like more of a OMD will provide, but we've been asking for the full integration just to do the demo you supported earlier, but that has not happened. And so with the waiting, and I think it's been a couple of years now, and so Ocean stepped up and this was able to be put into place. And so Accuro will be the ones to notify all their users that they're going to move ahead with the version 2 that you displayed earlier. But in the meantime, it's been put on hold, or there's some delay. Accuro has been very slow. And so that's kind of where I know in the stream of things. I know, you know, if you reach out to your OMD rep, there might be some, they might be able to, yeah.
It's me, so I
might be able to follow up some more.
I'll follow up
Yeah.
with them and see what's going on. I see we can put some pressure on it because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be great. Yeah.
Any other questions about any of these things we talked about today, or anything else that you want to ask us while we're here? So like I said, I mean, I think the eConsult is even if it is like, you know, one-way integration, it's still a valuable resource. Actually, the flow at the start is actually pretty similar to the eReferral process. So it is kind of, it gets you pretty comfortable with that. And again, with eReferral and the eReferral via eFax, there are like 227 some specialties out there that you can access via eReferral and by eFax. And so again, you should be able to have a high likelihood of finding at least the majority of the referrals you want using the Ocean platform. So it's been yeah, it's been just in the last I guess 6-9 months we've been kind of using it more dedicated, and it's been working well. And yeah, it's just another it's a good option trying to get that transition to happen.
I just have a question.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, so to clarify this, the eFax responses will look on the dashboard just the same as the eReferral faxes? Like if like
the dashboard, it will.
The dashboard, like that is pending or booked or.
No, it won't. So what would have to happen is that your staff would have to, you get it because on their end, eFax people, their workflow is exactly the same as before. They just see, you know, that they got a referral from our office, they'll send it back by a fax. So what's typically been happening for us is that, you know, just seeing those faxes come in, we do our normal workflow with the fax, like we just kind of call the patient or just enter it in the chart, however you do that. And then when it becomes flagged at the 30-day mark that you don't have any responses back, then you look at that patient's chart, then you see, oh, there was an appointment, and then you enter it in at that time. That's not ideal. I mean, ideally, if you could, you know, if you feel confident that every fax is worth checking to see if it's an Ocean as a eReferral, then you enter that date into that patient's chart, into their patient's Ocean eReferral spot. And that will trigger the email communications that patient will email saying that they have an appointment at this date and this time, kind of thing. So, yeah, it's not ideal, but again, this is that transition phase that we're trying to do for right now and kind of push that move to getting more people on the full eReferral platform.
What are the chances, the other question I have is, what are the chances of the hospital systems, hospital
Yeah.
and diagnostic departments like imaging and stuff, are they coming on?
There's a lot of talk going on with the hospitals. I think it's been an ongoing issue. There has been some pushback from the hospitals about it, but they are kind of slowly coming on. There's some questions they're trying to get from, I think, Olivia, you probably hear this stuff more about, what's the cost going to be for this, because the receiving sites are ones that pay the cost. So they're kind of concerned about what's the cost going to be long-term in this, and what's their privacy risk with having a third party being involved with this. That's kind of their pushback. But again, it is what it is. There's a lot of specialists that want to go on the eReferral, but they can't because the hospital's saying they can't yet. So that's kind of been an issue. But it's one of those things. Facts, outdated facts, not a model so long, and we can't just be staying stagnant for this long. Again, because I think the feedback we get from other primary care docs is that primary care providers is that the amount of time and patient care that's affected by this. I mean, they talk about we need to be patient-centered. We need to talk about being quintuple aim. I mean, referral management hits all those buttons, right? It just drives us crazy. The patients are frustrated, and then and we've all had that referral we sent out, and 4 weeks later we get a response, or 5 weeks later, oh, sorry, I don't see that problem. Now you're back to like finding somebody else, and another 4 weeks go by. Like, it's just the patient, just waiting, right? So it's frustrating that we're waiting for perfect when there's something that's pretty good out there right now. Let's just get moving with it. So, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of talk, lots of pressure still going on, and we're trying to move that forward for sure. All right. Well, I mean, again, and we don't need to spend more time. If you guys have no more questions, we can kind of leave it at that. I mean, let's just put in the link for people that need to have any more information about eReferral or eConsult in the chat there.
So I'm just going to put our LMPCA email, and then we'll direct it appropriately from there.
Perfect. That sounds great. And again, if you have any interest in the online appointment bookings, please reach out for that as well. All right. That was all I had on my list to go over there. I will follow up with the Accuro and Ontario MD to see if we can do anything on that and see what's going on. Again, I still won't. I'm surprised. I didn't know that beforehand, so I apologize. Okay. All right. Well, everyone have a good evening, and thanks so much for your time. If you have any questions, please reach out after the meeting as well. And again, this will be on the website recorded and with the slides. So if you have any colleagues that were interested but couldn't make it tonight, please direct them there and they can watch it.
Thank you, Dr. Nair, for the demo. Thanks everyone for being here tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having us.